Hi there, it's Sarah from Inspire Tarot. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're doing well today. See what messages Spirit has for us for today. Wow. Jumping straight out. Death, the Devil, Temperance, and the Tower. Wow. So we're off to a powerful start. These cards straight. I might move them across slightly and get one more. Whoa. Right, that one that wanted to come out was the Nine of Wands. On the bottom of the deck is the Seven of Swords. So, it looks like a lot of heaviness that we're looking at today. We're going through a lot of change. The Death card is the rebirth card, all about transformation. The Devil is all about our dark side, about the shadow. Temperance is all about balancing the darkness and the light. The Tower is about sudden change. And the Nine of Wands is about just being resilient and endurance, having endurance. So it looks very much at the moment as if we're going through a period of transformation. And there can be lots of darkness coming up. And when lots of darkness comes up, it can be really distressing. And the first thing the ego will say to us is that we're going nowhere, we're doing everything wrong, that we're bad, we're stained, we're evil, that we don't know what we're doing and we can't do it, and we're just a disaster and we should just give up and shoot ourselves. But yeah, the ego is just cruel, as we know, and we need to not listen to it. And we're learning now with the Spirit that we're not listening to the ego's cruel voice when it comes up. We're transmuting everything that it says, all the cruel and mean things it says we need to look at. So it could be that we're really struggling to feel our feelings, and when we struggle to feel our feelings, we tend to obsessively do things. We look for instant gratification in the form of addictions or just anything to avoid facing our feelings, whereas when we just need to sit with them and really let the Spirit speak to us and remind us that we're completely innocent at all times. And it's actually the light that's pushing the darkness up. It's our prayer and our request, that we heal. And to heal, then the light has to push the darkness up until it's pushed it all up, essentially till all the darkness that's within us has overflowed and flowed away. So yeah, these cards do look kind of intense, like we've got a lot going on in the mind. The Tower usually means that something drastic has happened. And from our ego perspective, it can seem terrifying when the Tower comes. It's like our whole existence is ripped out from underneath us and we can feel deeply distressed. And it's usually not until afterwards that we get to see that, oh, actually that thing, that seemingly horrific thing was actually just a storm which came to clear my path and give me a fresh start. But when we're in the thick of it, it can feel as though our whole world is crumbling, and that we've been thrown out of a window at force. I do quite like this card because it's like the bottom half of the card looks all sweet, and then the top half of the card looks all kind of fiery and destructive, which is probably a really good description of the Tower card, because the Tower is always helpful to us, but from our ego perspective it often feels quite shocking. We get stuck in our comfort zone, even though our comfort zone isn't even comfortable, and we stay stuck in there. So the Spirit has a habit of throwing us out of the Tower and creating these Tower moments to shift us, and really it's a wonderful thing, and we just need to see it that way. So the Death card is all about transformation, the ending of a major phase. We're feeling transformative. And quite often when we're in this phase, we can feel as though we're just literally crumbling and falling apart and everything's going wrong. But really it's just our self-concept being shaken and loosened. And we let our human self-concept go a little bit more each time we go through some seeming challenge and emotional difficulties. The mind is becoming purified and we're being reborn again. This is the meaning of the crucifixion. The true meaning of the crucifixion, the resurrection, is that we kind of die to our old self and be born again over and over. And we kind of have to allow ourselves to go through the process of crucifixion, which is just, to die to our false self and allow ourselves to be born again in the spirit, because we are always the spirit, as it were. So the Temperance card out of this one is really about maintaining balance. Sometimes it can be maintaining balance through the upheaval, when the upheaval is very intense, and we feel pulled about and all over the place. We really need to take care of ourselves and sit and meditate and listen to the Spirit. The Spirit will guide us very gently and carefully through the darkness, reminding us that the darkness is just a hallucination, just an evil voice in the mind trying to disturb us and tie us up in concepts that don't really exist. And the Nine of Wands card is all about just being resilient and having endurance and remembering that this is the final push with a cycle that we're in. And we may feel a lot of resistance, but we're nearing completion and that we just need to carry on. Okay, let's see what else comes out for this little reading. The Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords is very much about resting, revitalizing ourselves if we've been through a lot of turmoil. You can see in this card that the lady is sleeping. It says rest, recovery, quiet on this card. Sometimes that's what we need. Sometimes the Spirit will give us a forced rest, maybe through the form of sickness or something that just stops us from, makes us slow down, makes us rethink. Something that can seem upsetting to the ego, but is actually the reset that we need. This is a really peaceful card. Sometimes we can really see how we're not gentle with ourselves. And when we just sit down and lie down, if we feel completely exhausted or drained or poorly, then it's like a forced rest, which is always helpful. Sometimes it's just the reset we need. Three of Wands is about expanding our horizons. So quite often what happens is we'll go through a flurry of darkness where lots of ego thoughts are flushed up, and then we need to take this time to rest and process them, which gives us the capacity then to clear out some of the old beliefs and things. And then the Three of Wands shows us that we're expanding our horizons, that we're moving into a time to move forward and see things from a wider perspective. We might have regained a bit more of a positive outlook. Sometimes when the mind gets panicky, it can kind of close in on itself and we can find ourselves thinking all sorts of negative things, and then it's as if everything in life is seen with a negative thought system, whereas other times we can feel really positive and happy and really expansive, and when the energy is definitely flowing in the right direction, then we can feel really uplifted and just energized and excited about what comes next. So these cards, the tarot cards, always remind us that life is very cyclical and that we're always spiraling up, and we always seem to go through ebb and flow of good stages and bad stages, and the ego will see it as, oh, we're facing this same problem again, we're stuck here again. But really, every time we see the problem, we see it from a more expanded viewpoint. So our consciousness is always progressing and moving forwards, which is a good thing. And we can see in this card that the lady's kind of looking through her binoculars. She looks very inspiring and inspired, and possibly interested in taking a trip, or maybe that's just a term for wanting to, maybe we will travel, or maybe we'll just expand our horizons in taking on a new hobby or doing something else. So yeah, this card is just showing us that it's a great time to move forward, yeah, and shift our mindset. It's time to go. And the Magician, the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups. Nice. So yeah, the Magician is a card of the Alchemist, showing us that everything that we need is inside us. The Magician has access to all of the qualities that we have. So the mind, the heart, the desire, and the physical realm. And we master all of these through the mind, balancing the heart and mind, and understanding that everything that we create, everything that we manifest comes from within. And we're always being shown when we manifest something that we don't like, that we need to change the way we think. And if we're having trouble changing the way we think, this is what happens with the process. In that the spirit will send in a tower to help us to stir up our beliefs, to get us to look at them and get us to refrain from them, and they just loosen over time, and we really get to see that we are the power, we are the spirit. We have much more power than we're aware of, and it can seem overwhelming to have this power, and that's why we kind of step more and more into our power over time. And with the King and Queen of Cups coming through, these are both cards about mastery over the relational and the emotional realm, to do with love and compassion, also to do with creativity. These cards look very creative. These two characters just look very at peace. So yeah, to me this reading is all about going through a lot of emotional darkness and turmoil, and reminding us that eventually we'll make it to mastery. With these two cards coming out, it shows us that we can master the emotions and master the path by just being gentle and kind with ourselves and allowing ourselves to make mistakes, because we're never really making mistakes. The dualistic belief system is very much a system that's set up for us to make mistakes. Anything that moves away from unity is a mistake. And there's so many different ways of seeing things in the dualistic world that the ego is always going to convince us that we're making a mistake, that we're doing something wrong. But really we can see with the King and Queen of Cups that we're mastering being gentle with ourselves as we progress through our journey, and allowing ourselves to just be, knowing that we're already perfect, that we're already whole and pure, that we're divine innocent, just as God created us. So yeah, I think this is an interesting reading today, just showing us that it can seem as though everything's going wrong, but everything is really going right the whole time. And when we're stirred up and things seem to be chaotic, then that's just us making progress. That's us having the shake-up and the obstacles put in our place to help us see, to help us transform and become love. We are love anyway, but we become love more and more, or become aware of that love more and more as we wade through the darkness and remind ourselves that the darkness has nothing to do with us, that we are the light. always been the light, will always be the light, and the power is within us. It's up to us to expand our horizons, and remember that we can't judge our advances from our retreats, and to be very gentle with ourselves when we do go through a lot of intensity, because it can be very challenging. Definitely challenging when all the darkness comes up. It just makes you feel as if you've I was talking to a friend about this the other day. It feels like you're on the snakes and ladders board and you've just slipped all the way down the biggest snake right back to the beginning, and you feel as insignificant and small as a tiddlywink. But we can always get up and start again with a bit more resilience and a bit more humour and a bit more tenacity. So, yeah, that was quite an intense reading today, but also sweet. And a wonderful reminder that we're very resilient. We have the strength of God within us, and we can face anything that comes our way, because everything that comes our way is always helpful. It's just a helpful experience to help us heal, to help us see things differently, and to help us build our resilience with the Spirit. So I hope you enjoyed the reading, and I love you all. I'll see you again soon. Bye.